Bungie has been a very woke company for years at this point, and it only got worse when Sony bought them back in 2022. But now we're finding out that as part of their massive downsizing, multiple woke activists and Sweet Baby Ink defenders have been laid off. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I do not want to sit here and revel in the fact that people are getting laid off. But on the flip side, if you're not doing your job or you're not making a company money, ultimately, this is what's going to happen. And it's really not a unique situation when it comes to the gaming industry. We are seeing a ton of layoffs right now from a lot of companies. It's unfortunately just the way that the industry is going right now. There's a lot of downsizing happening because they had hired so many extra people. And of course, the video game industry is massive. It's making so much money, but at the same time, they are aware now that this growth is reaching a limit, at least for the moment, right? They're realizing, oh yeah, we cannot sustain the amount of employees we have. And of course, that gets into the budgets of video games and how they're at an all-time high. But it says Bungie's CEO and chairman, Pete Parsons, had recently announced that Bungie was laying off 220 employees, which was about 17% of the company's staff, as well as moving 155 employees to Bungie's parent company, Sony Interactive Entertainment. Furthermore, he revealed that one of Bungie's incubation projects would be spun out into its own studio, and it's believed this project consists of around 75 employees. Parsons also explained why Bungie was executing these massive layoffs and changes due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions. It has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon, which I don't really think is a great idea. We are going to be getting the Marathon remake soon, and while there has been a little bit of hype for it, there really hasn't been a lot of hype. There has not been a ton of people who have been praising this decision and are super excited. Now, of course, maybe when we get closer to the release, there will be a lot more hype, but I feel the initial response to the trailer was kind of lukewarm. And when it comes to Destiny, they've been on Destiny 2 for years at this point. This has been their strategy, is sticking with one game for a long time, which I know a lot of people like that because you're not constantly buying new video games. They're not, rushing out products. But as the expansions have gone on, there have been a lot more criticisms levied towards Bungie and of course, Destiny 2. I know the final shape had launched not even that long ago, and the scores for it aren't great. It's sitting at a 7.5 on Metacritic, which, isn't terrible, but it's also not perfect. And now that we're seeing these layoffs, we're seeing a lot of activists come out and talk about how heartbroken they are or how angry they are, but these are not individuals who I think are helping the industry grow. These are people who are project killers because they shove their personal political beliefs into content, and what they do is attack gamers, the very people they need to buy their products. Now, one of the people who was laid off that was most interesting to me is Max Nichols. He said, after 9 years, fully half of my adult life, I was let go from Bungie this morning along with many other amazing folks. Getting to work on a game like this where I made and helped make experiences that are enjoyed by millions of people was a huge privilege. But back in March, they declared anyone who was criticizing Sweet Baby Ink and its injection of DEI and woke ideology were murderous white supremacists. It's always shocking to see the intense hatred, jealousy, and viciousness in the shitty parts of the online gaming culture when it rears its head. I will assume anyone who's mad at Sweet Baby Ink right now is a murderous white supremacist. Absolutely unhinged behavior. And even though he was not fired or let go because of these statements, it just goes to show that a lot of people at this company most likely think this way. These are the types of people that they're attracting, as you see from this thread where I have several examples of people, but he's just one of the many individuals who did, yes, support Sweet Baby Inc. and said that we're hating on the company, that we're jealous, and the viciousness that we're showing them. People are simply criticizing a bad company. That's just how life goes. If you make bad products and people don't like you, they're allowed to take to their social media and say they don't like you. They're allowed to take to certain platforms like Metacritic and leave a bad review on their games. It's as simple as that. That doesn't mean we're murderous white supremacists, but of course, someone like this is going to spew anything they can to make us look like terrible people simply for having an opinion. It says Hazel, who also revealed she was laid off, wrote on X that she was unfortunately impacted by the layoffs, but she is actually a radical activists who was part of the failed Hogwarts legacy boycott she had posted in 2023. That person goes on to support people who materially harm trans people. So yes, supporting her is transphobic. Glad I could clear that up for you. Yeah, God forbid you happen to support a product that has someone behind it who you don't completely agree with. That's the issue with a lot of these people, is that they do not have the ability to separate art from an artist. I understand that that is hard, especially when you completely disagree with someone, but look at an individual like Mark Hamill. I love Star Wars that he was part of. I have loved his Joker. I can still enjoy those performances from him, even though I disagree with a lot of the political takes that he has. It's as simple as that for someone like me. And it should be as simple like that for any level headed individual. It's okay if you don't like J.K. Rowling, but you have to admit that she's the reason Harry Potter exists and why that franchise has been so popular and why millions of people reread those books and watch those movies every single year, never mind over the span of the time since their release back in 2000. It says, though, that she also has a giant so-called transgender flag as the background of her LinkedIn page, which of course she's allowed to do, but at the same time, it's very clear that she is someone who does not like anyone with an opposing opinion to hers. You also have another individual named Thickest Yosh defending Sweet Baby Inc. back in March, writing on X, if you're mad about DEI ruining games, you need to grow up. You need to stop wasting so much time on grifters who are only there to manipulate you and milk your anger for engagement. You need to talk to people who aren't like you a bit more, which is rich coming from someone who clearly doesn't talk to people who do not agree with them. These individuals have absolutely no clue how to interact with humans that have opinions that are different from theirs. They simply screech at you and into the void, and then they block you and they completely ignore you, which is just not the way to do things. But of course, this is hilarious to see happening because they say, oh, stop wasting so much time on grifters who are only there to manipulate you, meaning content creators like me who are simply trying to educate you on the state of the industry. And in this situation, the types of people that work at Bungie and the types of people you're supporting ultimately if you're buying a game from them, like Destiny 2. So yes, that's just a few people out of the hundreds that were laid off, but at the same time, they're clearly individuals who have been vocal on social media and love the direction that the industry is going in, even though there are millions of gamers who don't. So it will be interesting to see if any others come out and lash out, if there's any other news on people who have been laid off. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.